organizations, our survival is premised on us being value-driven. There's always the binary of value and values. The private sector will talk about value addition, value-driven, value-based, value systems. We as a sector, we need to be truly wedded to our value proposition. It's important that we are wedded to our value proposition. That's going to be what's going to enable us to work. A lot has definitely been said in these 2 days. Next year, I already told, I think, Elizabeth, that we'll be having conversations with GIZ to have more funding so that we can actually have these resources here. Special thanks go to resources here. Special thanks go to GIZ for funding. And of course, the special thanks also go to the back-end donor of GIZ, the European Union delegation in Uganda. Special thanks to our partners for this, the NGO Bureau with whom we partnered. We take and remain acutely aware of the guidance that we have given as a sector, that we should not be in bed with the NGO Bureau. We will sleep on the same bed. We shall be separated with a line of pillows. Thank you to the CSOs that have made the time to be in these conversations, and to the different bilateral donors, development partners, who have actually been with us for the last 2 days. Sweden has been here, Denmark has been here, the Netherlands have been here, the British have also been here, despite the fact that they left the EU. We thank all of them for actually making the time and making the resources within which we run as civil society organizations. Thank you so much, the CSOs, for making the time. Special thanks, of course, to the Uganda National NGO Forum staff, who played quite a pivotal role in the content creation. Finally, as you could guess, I'm a fairly brilliant person, and I know which side of my bread is buttered. Because I want my contract extended, I would like to give special thanks to the board members of the Uganda National NGO Forum, who we have a few in the room. So the board members of Uganda National NGO Forum, please stand up for recognition. These are the few, the board chairperson was here, but these are the people that not only provide intellectual leadership at the Uganda National NGO Forum, but provide oversight. So when we thank the staff for the powerful content creation, it is all from them that we do execute as the staff of the Uganda National NGO Forum. With that, I would like to thank you, and it is my singular honor to welcome the country director of GIZ to come and speak to the people.
Once I survive. Good afternoon, everybody. If you look at my speech, which was prepared last night, I believe, and well done, so my team, I don't know with the help of AI or not, but it's a very nice and friendly AI. And I've been listening to you, so you see what's going to be happening. I'm not going to make a statement, but I'm going to make some closing remarks, if I may. But first of all, I thought I'm very overwhelmed, particularly by the communiqué and what was discussed just now when I came back in, and what I heard yesterday morning when we opened. And to tell you what, I'm feeling very insecure to say something now, because I feel like an imposter. I had not been in the discussions which I had, which were very vibrant, and my colleague came to me and said, James, today it got very political, you know, but things worked out all right. And I thought, oh, great. It became political, and we discussed those things which were controversial. And yes, what is it, Moses? You just said the UK left the room. No, it did not. Here I am. Okay, so I would like to make a couple of private remarks. I would like to say something about our event today and something about GIZ, if I may. And I'll make it painless for you. Okay, where is Chris, our MC? Where are you hiding? Jan, you hadn't been here when I was introduced. I heard how you were introduced, you know, athletic and cyclist and interested in things like that. I was portrayed by Chris as a Scottish drunkard, married to a German. She's half German and half English, but we leave the English out a bit, okay? So my UK friends have left or whatever, but I'm really happy to speak on behalf of Germany in a minute. So that is one of the things I wanted to get rid of when I'm talking about me and my private things. Also, I was really lucky, Jan, to come in here and have the the tail end of the discussion. And I think it was also Moses, wasn't it, talking about the Belt and Road approach by the European Union and the idea in Germany. That's where I got to Germany, and I was stationed at Labruck Royal Air Force Station, which was then turned into a commercial airport, and it's empty. There are no passengers. You know, Ryanair flies about twice or three times a week, which says infrastructure is not everything. It needs to have something behind it, an idea how to make those places thrive. You've seen loads of very well-equipped hospitals with laboratories and equipment and everything. If you can't use them, if you don't have the training, if you don't have the people around it, there are these white elephants. Okay, so I think we need to make the Global Gateway work. And yes, it took some time organically to sort of, you know, go through the system, but there are opportunities, I think, for us being the European Union and you as our partners to make it happen. And Jakob, you mentioned those things. These are your projects. Uganda and the ownership, and we put emphasis on the participation. Okay, and I think this is a hallmark of what we do, Germany and the European Union together. Now, I would like to say thank you very much for doing this. It was a stellar event, and all the work you guys put into it. And I have not been around, but the closing remarks and the communique which you did, you know, you touched on so many pain points. That's why I kept writing all the time. You were talking about problems with the registration. Yes, we need to address them. You know, funding, and GIZ is not a donor. And you were quite rightly, Moses, saying, you know, we're backed up by the German government and the European Union. We're an implementer, but we can be as much support as we also a problem, of course, to you when it comes to sustainability. The alternative, there is no alternative to it, to have that conversation and see how can we do it better in future. And I know some of the things which you just said, Moses, also resonate with me. If we measure human existence only in economical terms, we've lost as humanity. So there are some things which can be paid for and some things you can do, and some things just need to be funded, wherever the money comes from, I believe. You also talked about regulation and the perception you have as civil society in Uganda, and also the security concerns. Now, I'll turn back to page 1 in my very orderly speech. When you asked me, you probably don't, so I'll ask myself, James, why Germany? And I would say, you know why? the thing is, Germany wouldn't work without civil society. All right, and we're in a partnership, you know, with Uganda, and those joint projects are, you would like to learn from each other, okay? And I suppose the involvement of civil society in Germany as a country, as a state, is so important. And this time I used AI, but I knew it, of course, by heart before. And there's a survey on CSOs and NGOs in Germany, and the Germans have about 85 million inhabitants, I believe, give or take. And 29 million people in Germany are involved in CSOs and NGOs. Sometimes it's just sports clubs, okay? Sometimes it's a volunteer fire brigade. But sometimes it's also, you know, to hold the government to account, to follow up on investments where taxes are spent and everything. So in numbers, it's 39.7% of Germans are somehow involved and participate in NGO activities. And they do things on behalf of the German government, hand in hand with the German government. And there are 26,000 charitable organizations in Germany which do it. And that's how, you know, how the whole country works. Being a Brit, I'm fascinated by that. And if I could encourage you and the Ugandan government just to take a slice of that, we would have a big leap forward. And if we can, as GIZ and the European Union help you along with that, I think it'd be successful and worth a while, the effort of it. I'm going back to the other thing. So I said something about the event which we are about to close, and I would like to say thank you very much for that. And GIZ, together with the European Union, we are involved in many aspects of civil society, and I don't want to go through that list which is here, but also when people ask me, James, so what are you doing with our civil society project? I say, okay, so how do you define civil society? And we're everywhere. Somebody said something, beekeepers just now, okay? So we work, civil societies in rural development, in agriculture, in rural energy, in efficiency, but also in accountability and transparency of government and how government functions. And I suppose we are going to be with you for some time to come, about which I'm quite happy, because, as I said, it's also a hallmark of what Germany can offer Uganda. And the gentleman from the ED of the NPA, okay, he had this question, you know, how does it fall in line, what we do, how does it fall in line with the development ideas and agenda of Uganda? And of course, everything we do when we're doing, you know, we're developing the project, I'm looking at Elizabeth now, falls within the NDP4. You know, I wanted to get up yesterday and say, of course, where is that question? Where is the doubt? You know, where do you have that question mark? We do always fall in line with the development goals of the Ugandan government and you as citizens. So, I wonder whether I'll probably not say this, I'll leave this for you, but I think it was important in your communique that you point out the pain points on the one hand, but also, and the challenges. But my hint would be, we know the challenges, but what are we doing about it? And I thought, is it coming in your communique? Okay, and you did so. Thank you very much. You were talking about a civil society fund. Why not? Why not think about it? You had a long list of recommendations. We need to look through them, whether they are feasible, practical, or just ideas or whatever. But we'll only get to a result when we discuss and have a discourse about it. You know, some of the ideas need to be discarded, and some of them we can sort of work together on. So I thought that was a really, really successful event and convention over the past 2 days, and I'm really happy I only see few of you sleeping at the moment, and I promise I'm going to be stopping in a sec. But I can't finish my final remarks without saying thank you very much to you as participants and the CSO organizations which are here, those government institutions, you know, which stayed with us and joined us, the Uganda National NGO Forum. I really liked your interventions earlier, which I heard, and the National Bureau for NGOs. But also, I would like to say thank you very much, Chris. After I've corrected you, next time you're going to be facilitating an event, you know so much more about me. Okay. But also, I would like to say thank you very much for my team, for the team in the European Union office, you know, for putting this thing together. The back office can't be forgotten, and it's a wonderful experience to be standing here and closing down this event and convention. Although, as I said at the very beginning, I had very little hand in the success of this. I'm just the pretty face of GIZ, and but I'm so proud of my colleagues that they put it together. So thank you very much, and all the best for the future. And I'm sure we're going to be meeting again, and you hear one of my boring speeches yet again. Thank you. All right. I like closing events with an embarrassment to myself. Jan, I'm really happy to be working together with you, and we've got very close ties, I also have a lot of respect for your engagement for Uganda, and without getting romantic all about it, can I ask you to come up here and give your final words? How was that, Moses? Was that okay? Thank you.
I cannot refuse you, James, I think. Thanks a lot for that great introduction, and also thanks to our MC, Chris, somewhere, who gave me a very generous introduction before, and I'm indebted to you that you presented me as much sportier than the previous speaker. And it is true that I love biking. Unfortunately, I don't bike too much here in Uganda. I used to cycle to work in Khartoum and also in Gaborone, but the traffic here is a bit too tense, I think. But I can reveal to you that on Saturday I bicycled to my hairdresser to get my hair done, and I have bicycled also in the Lake Mburu National Park and by Lake Victoria. There are wonderful places to visit here if you want to try some cycling. But let me now get back to my remarks and just greet the possible representatives of the Ugandan government that may be here, and of course the executive director of the Uganda National NGO Forum, Dr. Moses Isoba. Or should we call you Dr. I'm not David Isoba? What did you say? You made a previous speaker, GIZ Country Director for Uganda, Mr. James Macbeth Forbes. Also representatives of development partners, Team Europe, my own team here, civil society, of course, needless to say, representatives, so many here, academia and the private sector. I realize there are now high expectations about artificial intelligence in my speech, but I do think, like James, that it's mainly thanks to my great team at the delegation that I have interesting things to say here today. But I do believe that artificial intelligence is very important, and I was glad to see that in your program here you discussed this morning, I think, digital platforms. I'm not sure how far you took it, but I think otherwise it's a good idea to perhaps add artificial intelligence to next year's convention. So I do think it can also be of great use to civil society. Actually, while I was listening here, I asked for a comment from ChatGPT, who sends greetings to you all and says that artificial intelligence will not replace civil society. That's good. But it can help civil society to reach further, faster, and louder. So that's something to think of. And the personal advice is that when you get those incredibly boring call for proposals forms from the EU or GIZ, you should definitely use AI to fill them in. I think it will at least save you a lot of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great pleasure to join you here at the end of the National CSO Convention 2025, hosted here by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Uganda National NGO Forum. And I extend my gratitude to all the organizers of this convention, which unites civil society from all across Uganda. And as we now close the National Civil Society Convention this year, I wish really to take the opportunity now to reflect on the past 2 days of extremely rich dialogue, learning, and collective commitment. And I also apologize, like James Macbeth did, that I could not be here with you those 2 days, but I'm very grateful that I could attend this concluding session and get a sort of a quick feedback from the discussions. They seem to have been very fruitful indeed. So I know now that together you have examined the evolving context shaping the work of civil society in Uganda, and that there have been really open discussions about the challenges, but more importantly also about the pathways for resilience, innovation, and collaboration. And thanks to the nice slide show here, I also know that sustainability and youth figured greatly in the discussions and the conclusions. I know there was a lot of deep engagement also on other themes, including the collaboration in delivery of NDP 4, recognizing that the success of Uganda's 4th National Development Plan will depend on how effectively government, civil society, the private sector, and development partners can work hand in hand to contribute to Uganda's long-term vision. You also discussed the regulatory frameworks, finding the balance between compliance, operational autonomy, and constructive partnerships with government. I saw that financial sustainability also came out in the conclusions strongly, meaning strengthening local philanthropy and forging innovative partnerships. And also then finally the digital transformation was discussed, leveraging technology in a rapidly changing world, and my proposal would then be to include that even further in next year's convention. I would like to believe that these discussions have provided a space for institutional and individual reflection for action-oriented outcomes. So what is now the European Union's contribution to civil society in Uganda? Well, the European Union has a long history of civil society engagement, as you know, and recognizes civil society as a cornerstone of democracy, good governance, and inclusive development. So it is through strong and independent civil society organizations that communities are empowered, governments held accountable, as James Macbeth just said, and citizens' voices amplified. And this goes for Germany as well as for Uganda and all other countries. That is how we see it. So over the years, the European Union has collaborated with civil society in areas such as human rights, accountability, access to justice, gender equality, youth empowerment, and climate action, to mention a few. We also engage with civil society during electoral processes, a topical issue right now, I think, as it does have, the civil society does have a role to play in reducing election-related conflict dynamics and promoting a peaceful electoral environment. So ahead of the 2026 general elections, we are notably working with media, youth, and women, alongside political parties, security actors, and other government entities to contribute to a conducive environment for holding elections. And you may have seen our the project that we launched just the other week, Tuongea Let Us Talk project, which will be a countrywide as a campaign. They will travel actually with a bus, I think, call it a caravan, and do local dialogues with the different stakeholders across Uganda. I think hopefully an important contribution, I think, to the holding of peaceful elections. Our civil society engagement is guided by the 2012 communication, it's an EU communication, called The Roots of Democracy and Sustainable Development, which is the basis for the EU CSO roadmap that we work with here at the delegation level in Kampala and Uganda. And the CSO roadmap aims to strengthen CSO engagement, and will it now to anchor the global gateway investments that we spoke about with a 360-degree approach. And I want to confirm that you will be thoroughly consulted in the process of updating the roadmap, and it will also be shared with all of you. So as my colleague here, Jakob Haushofer, just highlighted in his dedicated session, thanks for holding that, Jacob, this afternoon, we are scaling up our investment in Uganda through the Global Gateway framework with a focus on renewable energy, green infrastructure, and digitalization. And we're also very happy that your Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Honorable Nanka Birwa, will actually travel next week to Brussels, where there will be the Global Gateway Forum, where she can then discuss with the European Union, but also with her counterparts from African countries, and actually countries all over the globe, about these important issues that Jacob described. And we also, to take an example that you might already have taken, is the Chira and Alubale hydropower plants, which we will hopefully be able to finance so that they can be rehabilitated and safeguard the clean energy production in the long run. So this will be discussed by the minister as well in Brussels. The Global Gateway framework goes beyond physical investments, as you heard. It's also about strengthening governance and institutional foundations to ensure that these efforts deliver real benefits for the people they are intended to serve. And you, civil society, you play a central role in this process, providing oversight, advocating for citizens' interests, and acting as a vital bridge between communities and government. I'm also happy to see that it sparked interest for issues such as the critical raw materials, which Uganda is richly endowed with, and will hopefully serve to also spark its economic development. And then the value addition comes into this. And I think what you mentioned is a very good ambition, to have a kind of a factory that could, bring value addition to raw materials here. I think I have to say that, before we have a factory that produces electric batteries next to the lithium mine in Uganda, it will take time, because there's a lot needed here, like the right training, education, simply human resources to manage that. But it's a very good ambition, and I can tell you that yesterday, that's actually why I couldn't come for the opening here. I was opening an event where we had representatives from 5 European countries coming to Kampala, from the geological survey institutions of those countries, to discuss with the Ugandan side, with the ministry. Minister Nyamotoro was there herself, and also the experts, the geological study authorities here in Uganda, to make sure precisely what you say, that the wealth that you have here can be explored in a win-win situation between Uganda and interested entities abroad. I think that is an important first step. And the project will bring about a mapping of where you have your resources, but also training, including mentorship and postgraduate studies for Ugandans, so that you can build a cadre of expertise in Uganda that will in the end know how to add that value that you are asking about. So I think it's a very good ambition. Please ask always that question when you are at these meetings. It's very important. Yes. So we also, from the EU side, we remain a steadfast partner in promoting multi-stakeholder dialogue. And this convention is obviously an example of how, by bringing together government, civil society, the private sector, and development partners, we can chart a shared vision for Uganda's future with a focus on civil society. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would wish to extend sincere appreciation to the Uganda National NGO Forum, the National Bureau for NGOs, GIZ, and the Civil Society in Uganda Support Program. We have, I think, you are doing an incredibly important work here in this country, James, and also Moses. So thanks a lot for being here and organizing all of this. And also to all the other participants, keynote speakers and panelists, thank you for your openness, your expertise, and your willingness to engage constructively. So I encourage all of us to carry forward the momentum of these deliberations and translate them into concrete action. Civil society must continue to innovate, adapt, and stand united in its mission to serve communities and safeguard civic space. The European Union stands ready to continue walking this journey with you, and we see the future of civil society in Uganda as something that we are collectively shaping here today and in the years to come. So let us harness the opportunities before us in global frameworks such as the EU Global Gateway. And on behalf of the European Union and the entire Team Europe, I thank you for your dedication, your partnership, and your unwavering commitment. I wish you all safe travels as you go back, fruitful follow-ups, and continued success in your vital work. Thank you. And before perhaps I say thank you, I was supposed to say something, was I? I was supposed to look a bit theatrical and point here, and I would say, let me now unveil. Or was that so? Let me now unveil. Obviously, I'm unveiling the future of civil society, I think. That's exciting. Is that all I should do? That's all I should do. And then I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure.
So the team has asked me to do one more thing, which is very important. So we have 5 minutes for this. So, and James, usually when Moses gets gifts of whiskey bottles, he hands them to me. So I am the official collector of Scottish whiskey, just in case you want to gift someone. So let's have James and the ambassador and Moses come to the front for a picture, and also ready yourselves for a group photo. If you can come to the front for a picture, and colleagues, I ask that we hurry to bring the tables and chairs for the group photo. Yep. Should I emphasize the thing about, group, for the picture of the three of you, and the rest of us will join you. Yeah, you can stand up there for a picture. Up there. Yeah, you can use the stairs. And then after that, we'll take a group photo. James, I have to repeat that I collect Scottish whiskey. Uh-huh. Exactly. There you go. Oh, don't break your leg.
I had an accident. You know that.
Okay, ready yourselves as well. We'll take a group photo, and then we'll go for our cocktail, our networking event. Are you guys smiling, Moses? Okay. Yeah, but isn't that too far? Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Okay, one more. Perfect. So now will you have to come and join them for a group photo? And Ambassador will ask that you, James and Moses, you sit down. And Agnes and the rest of the team, please come join me. Yeah, come down and sit on the chairs there. Yeah. The rest of you, you can join and sit down, please. And then others can stand behind. Just make sure you're seen. That's all you need to do. Can I get a roving microphone? Emma. All right, then the tall ones can go to the front and the short ones to the back. Yeah, they will come. They'll come, don't worry. Okay.
In front.
Yeah. Hi, Grace.